Greg Murphy had a great time last year. He's not having such a terrific time at Hidden Valley this year. He's doing it tough as the cars are on the grid preparing for race one. It's a very different looking grid, and let's have a look at it right now. The Shell Helix race grid. Seaton for his second pole of the year. He's 8th in his career. Ingle, a much improved second. Bright Radicic. Tander, who was quickest in this morning's warm-up by a mile, is going red hot.
Mark Larkham and Dick Johnson start out of row 5. Jason Bargwanna and Cameron McLean. Great performance from the Queensland Privateer. John Faulkner and Greg Murphy going well too on the wins car. Larry Perkins and Mark Scape right back in the order. Troubles was set up. Also right back too, Tony Longhurst and Stephen Richards, 19th and 20th. McDonough and 22nd. Wayne Wakefield filling in for Charles Ryman. David Parsons and Anthony Tratt. John Briggs in the new AU Falcon. Jeff Kendrick from WA. Rodney Forbes, Rod Nash, Bobby Thorne. And right off the back of the grid, Darcy Russell in the Rod Smith Racing Commodore. Well, what a big field. And we've got it all covered here on our Channel 10 cameras. Here's our pole position man for the second time in 2 races, Glen Seaton in the new AU XR8. There's the angle looking over his shoulder and looking out the back at the enforcer, Russell England. Boy, he's back in form this weekend, isn't he? I spoke to Russell just a few moments ago as we go through and give you a look at a few of the in-cars that we'll be showing you today. Dick Johnson, as he says, farewell to Darwin and Hidden Valley. He's celebrating his 29th wedding anniversary today to Jill. So congratulations to the both of them, and let's hope it's a memorable day for Dick. The regular shot of the Mitre 10 Ford Mark Larkham. He has qualified well and needs a good result. He was a little bit hard done by in Phillip Island, but we've got a few different camera angles here. The footbox, which we've got received a lot of feedback on, Mark. It's been very popular. Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't realise what goes on down there. And this is one of our most popular shots too, looking at the eyes of Russell England, and he really had him on yesterday in qualifying. Second fastest man, a real change in the order. He's been struggling to come to terms with these new Bridgestone tyres this year. They went for a very radical suspension setup, and Brad Jones, it seems to have worked a treat for the Castrol car. Well, it does. Russell's back on the pace, and front of the grid, 1 Ford, 1 Holden. I guess that's the sort of parity you're looking for, and I think we're in for a great race today. 7 Fords in the top 10, so they're hitting back. Mark Scape, we were just looking at before then, and isn't this a turn up for the books? Right back there in 16th position. He was really struggling in qualifying yesterday, just like his teammate Craig Lowndes, who was 7th fastest. Lately, Darcy Russell in a bit of trouble there on the warm-up lap. I think he had a bit of a spin, judging by all the dust all over the car. All right, let's take a look at the Bridgestone race analysis for you, because it's going to be tough here in Hidden Valley. 33 starters there were 35. Daniel Miller and Alan Heath, 2 late withdrawals only this morning. 3:17 lap races for you, and look at how close it is. 1.1 seconds separating first to 15. We're really, as we always say, getting to Formula Ford standards. It's that close. Yeah, you can't believe how tight it is, and it's so twisty around that back section, Brad Jones. I'm expecting a bit of biff and barge on that opening lap. I think so, and the other thing we need to look for is they're all running very low pressures. Now they don't run bleed-off valves on these tyres, so all the cars are going to be moving around a lot on cold tyres for the first couple of laps till they can get the pressures up. Oh dear. This guy, can you believe it? Paul Radicic, 4th fastest in qualifying. Fantastic effort yesterday in the Shell Ford. It looks like he's pulling off and going into pit lane. Well, things were just looking so good as the rest of the field get ready. The officials checking through the grid. We wait for the green flag at the back. Disaster for the number 18 Shell Helix Ford, just when things were looking so good. Well, I don't know what happened there. He might have been late coming out of the pits, and he may have to start for pit lane. We'll see in a minute. Here we go, the Northern Territory round of the Shell Championship Series. Will it be the Enforcer who gets the jump, or Seaton? It's the Enforcer. What a blinder of a start as Dick Johnson moves to the outside. A couple of the wins cars scoot through. Now we've got to focus on the first turn, because last year we had action here. Let's hope they all get through okay. Bright's got the inside run on Seaton. Bow's in there as well. Watch them squirm as the tyres get up to premium temperature. Craig Lowndes starting out of 7th position, right down the inside, but he's boxed in there. Back in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th position, so he's made up a couple of positions. Teammate Mark Scape a bit further back in the order. They've got a lot of work on their plate today. But here's the man who set this track alight last year, Russell England. He's back on form in 99. Well, apparently the word through from the pits, Radicic diff problems. There's Scape battling with Faulkner a long way back, but Russell England is pumped up as Garth Tander gets muscled by Craig Lowndes on the inside. Russell England is all pumped up to win this, to repeat his efforts in 1998 as they work through the back section for the first time. It's very close. Oh, look at Craig Lowndes there, back in the pack, uncustomary position. They've made some changes to the cars overnight. Hopefully that's going to improved their setup, Brad Jones, but they really have been struggling this weekend.
Well, they have, and but you look at all the cars, they're moving around a little bit. As I said, it takes about 5 or 6 laps for their tyres to get the pressures up and the heat in them, and so there'll be a bit from barge, a bit of bumping, I think, trying to get your position and get the most out of the tyres and not flat spot them, because it's been a problem with a few of the front runners at the moment, and here's one guy that has had a bit of trouble with flat spotting tyres.
Russell Ingall, Glen Seaton, here's John Bowe looking for an inside option on Jason Bright in the Pertec Ford. So 3 Fords in the top 4, then Lowndes. Then we go back to Tander, pick up Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Ford. Then it's Jason Bargwanna and Neil Crompton.
And really down the straight there, Bright drove straight around the outside of Bowe, so the Pertec car's not hurting for horsepower. That was a great job.
Yeah, Campbell Little and the boys at Stone Brothers Racing always produce good horsepower engines, and he's using to advantage here as they come up into the Valley Complex for the first time. Bowe under plenty of pressure as he brakes. Look at this freight train behind him. Lowndes, Garth Tander, who was the fastest man in the warm-up this morning, and the Mitre 10 Ford of Mark Larkham showing great form.
Well, John Bowe was saying yesterday that they're in fact down 7 kilometres per hour on straight line speed. So as Brad Jones indicated, that's exactly what's hurting him as Bright tries to scoot away the tyres, getting up to their best temperature at the moment.
And JB's not an easy guy to get past. He knows how to get the most out of his car, and he drives very, very well, and he covers his line. And as you can see, him already moving to the inside, because he'd feel that the Commodores have probably got a touch more horsepower for him, and he'll make them try and go around the outside. But oh, there we go. Lowndes has just made a liar of me.
Side by side as they brake hard from 270 kilometres an hour. Craig Lowndes down the inside of the Cat Racing Falcon. So the reigning champ moves up another position. We expected this. This team have worked very hard on their settings overnight. They came out, they were much more happy with the cars in the warm-up this morning, continuing that form in Heat 1.
Stephen Ellery battling with Greg Murphy there. Here's a replay, the Shell Helix replay of Scaife at the start.
He's got a great start, but he's really boxed in and he's got nowhere to go. He's lifted out of the throttle a little bit. He's going to the inside here and he's behind Faulkner, and he'd be looking as these guys break to maybe try and get down the inside again. This isn't a view that Scaife will get to see too much.
No, he's usually used to a clear track ahead and a very congested first turn. The 2 Valvoline Cummins cars are well placed at the moment in this race. You can see one just ahead of Cameron McLean there. That's in fact Jason Bargwanna, who now has worked his way up into 8th position. But look at the traffic jam here as they work their way through. Lowndes has scooted away. Now Tander begins the pressure on the Cat Ford of Bowe.
I'll tell you what, Ingall's not making... Oh, there's Paul Radisich. We just saw him in trouble. That's a great disappointment. That team was working very well this weekend. 4th fastest in qualifying. Looking forward to a good race today. Differential problems, apparently the word from the pits, that the Shell team, once again, not having the best weekend.
Look at them scatter down the main straight. Here comes Crompton on Bargwanna. The inside run, he's got him. The Ford Tickford Racing AU, no, he hasn't. Bargwanna goes around the outside, and Ellery's gone. Stephen Ellery.
Well, just as well, they got that massive area down the end of that main straight, Brad Jones. 1.1 kilometres, speeds, I guess, in excess of 270k. You need that amount of room.
It certainly is. I'm not sure if we'll see a replay of that, but really, it looks to me like, oops, there's a bit of action there. Maybe that's some contact with Ellery. I'm not too sure there, but you can only do 2 things to make a mistake there. I think get in there a bit hot and have some contact, or maybe lock the rears on the way in.
Well, last time around, McLean was in 11th and Ellery was in 13th. So whether Ellery took evasive action, McLean will be trying to get back into the pits here. But look at the replay.
Looks like McLean's just clipped him, or clipped the back of Faulkner there when he spun, and looks like Murphy's gone around as well. But it's a bit hard to tell from that shot, but really I'd say if no one touched Ellery's just got in there a bit hot, maybe locked up the rears, or gone in too hot and shot off the road.
Ellery kept the boot into it too, as to not to get bogged. Have a look at the back of this behind Paul Wheel. That's Wayne Wakefield in the Charles Ryman car, who's doing quite well. As they come down again, Lowndes has got a fair bit of distance now on John Bowe, who continues that inside defensive line.
Yeah, Lowndes about 4 seconds behind our race leader, Russell Ingall. He's not opening the gap on Seaton at all. It's still about 4 or 5 tenths of a second. It's been that way since the start of the race. Jason Bright, 1.9 seconds behind our race leader in 3rd.
Right, here's the Shell Helix replay of Cameron McLean.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, you can see what's happened here. He's just run wide, tried to avoid the spinning winds car, and got the car in the dirt and just torn the front spoiler clean off the car. And of course that'll be affecting the way the car handles. Very unfortunate for the McLean team.
Bob Thorne in the Super Cheap Autos EL, he's had some problems as well. The disastrous weekend for the Wins boys continue, although here's Stephen Richards working his way forward, qualified in 20th position. Whoa, the front spoiler, let's go.
Well, there's plenty of debris on this track already. Severe bodywork damage to a few cars. In the opening laps of this contest, Cameron McLean's decided to park it. Obviously some damage to the front spoiler section after he went for that wild ride across the grass, avoiding the wind's Commodore. But the order now, Ingle, still half a second up the road from Seaton. Brighton third, Lowndes in fourth. Then it's back to Bow. Tander can't get past the Caterpillar Ford.
Keep your eyes out further back. Look for the headlights on. That's Mark Scape. He is tucked in right behind Neil Crompton. So Scape has come from 16th to 10th. Mark Warner still engaged in that battle with Crompton, and now he's focusing on Larkham as well. There's the distance. Scape back to the 11th place, Dick Johnson.
And you'd have to say, looking at the performance of Lowndes and, of course, Scape and how quickly he's going now, that maybe yesterday in practice they just made a bad tyre choice. They're one of the few teams that actually elected to come in. Oh, there we go. Tander's gone around the outside of Bow there. They were one of the few teams to come in, change tyres mid-session and get out again, and they obviously didn't get enough heat in their tyres to get further up the grid, but they're certainly performing well today.
On board with Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Ford. He now has a go at John Bow, who's seen Craig Lowndes go through, and Garth Tander is defending the best he can, but a long way to go. Lap 6 of 17.
Well, last time around, Lowndes was the fastest man on the track, the 1 minute 09.55. That's the quickest time. So he's sitting back in the pack there. He's got a bit of clean air in front of him while he tries to close the gap to the Pertec Falcon. But Jason Bright's matching him lap for lap. Here comes Larkham having a look down the inside of the Catter Racing Falcon as they brake really hard for turn one. He's contacted him too.
Larkham and Bow gone.
He's going really deep under brakes there. Maybe ran out of room, Brad.
Well, JB was just coming down there, jumped on the brakes, tried to pull the car up, and Larko committed himself to try and get down the inside, and they got to the point of no return. It was just a slight touch, but really that's all these cars need. And Bow went around, and of course, here we go. We see down the inside, Larko's just faking to the inside. Bow's already way over there. Can't turn in from there. JB's just taking his line. Larko's starting to overlap the back of his car. They've touched, they're both spun, and unfortunately both badly disadvantaged from that.
Yep, on the outside of turn one, and a long way to go to catch up now.
Sure, Tim Schenken will be watching that very closely. He made a new order in the drivers' meeting this morning that if your car is alongside the B pillar of the car in front is considered your corner. Larkham was a long way further back than that.
I think Larko's got a bit of a tyre problem. When he did the wheelie there to get back onto the track, a whole heap of black shot up off the side of it, and you can see it flapping a little bit on the rear tyre.
Look at the battle for the lead. Now it's really tightening up. It was out to half a second. Now it's put the glasses down. Seaton's right behind the SLX Castrol Commodore of Russell Ingall. This is a fantastic three-way fight for the lead of Heat 1.
So
Russell Ingall, Glen Seaton and Jason Bright.
Yeah, Bright in the Pertec Ford. He's hanging in there as well. Keep in mind that Lowndes won this one last year. And look at Lowndes in the background. He's catching up to this trio as well. Russell Ingall won race 2 and race 3 last year to win the round. He's got plenty of pressure on board at the moment from the Ford Tickford Racing AU of Seaton. Bright is in there as well, and we'll keep our eyes on the gap with Craig Lowndes and the #1 Mobile HRT car. There he is in the background.
And really, after seeing the start, I was a little bit suspect that Russell might have jumped the start because he got away so well. It was either Russell had a fantastic start or Glen had a shocker, and obviously we've heard nothing, so Glen must have had a shocking start.
Mitre 10 Falcon. Apparently the left rear tyre has delaminated on the Mitre 10 Falcon. Word from the pit, so a bit of tyre trouble for the Mitre 10 Ford boys today.
Well, here we go. Glen Seaton in second spot.
Have a look at that.
Graphic.
Yeah.
Part of the problem is down at the end of the circuit where they come back onto the track when they spin off, there's a bit of a corrugation on the outside ripple strip, and I think if you hit the throttle too hard when you come back in, there's chances that it's going to catch and tear the tyre a little and on that edge, and I think that's probably what's happened to Larko.
Seaton menaced the Mobile 1 HRT cars at Phillip Island and showed that Ford are on their way back. Both he and Bright have had good test days in between now and the Phillip Island round.
So he's on their way back. Russell Ingall too. Boy, yeah. He said, look, I'm getting too far into this championship to be trying conservative action on the car. He's gone for a very radical suspension setup, mainly concentrating on the car's shock absorbers. All these teams now with the restrictions on what they can do to the car, they're all chasing mechanical grip, and the real freedom you have is in what you can do with your shock absorbers. Russell's contacted a few old mates in England from his days over there in open wheeler racing. He's got some technology interflow happening between Australia and the UK, and look like it's paid a big price here. The car's looking very, very fast.
Welcome back to Hidden Valley as the drag race down this 1.1 kilometre main straight continues. It's still Ingall, Seaton and Bright. It's the way it was before we went to the break. Nothing has changed. Though Ingall may have moved out marginally, maybe a car length on Seaton, but there's still plenty of pressure there, and Lowndes is looming in the background. Now here's a replay of an earlier incident. Mark Noske in there, involved with John Faulkner, and Paul Wheel spinning as well. McDonough avoiding that, but Wheel and Faulkner, the losers in that situation.
And really, I think that certainly for Faulkner, he might have touched him, but it's just very, very slippery down there if he gets slightly offline, and that also includes if you get too close to the inside. There's oh, look,
Right slowing.
Right slowing, he's got a problem. Now, we'll know in a minute whether he's just made a mistake or he actually has a problem with the car. He's certainly not giving way to Lowndes, so maybe just made a mistake, ran a little bit of wide. He's driving very defensively now. Take him a couple of corners to get his confidence back, and he's got Lowndes in his mirror now, so he'll be trying to gather the whole thing up at the moment and press on and edge away.
Well, there's John Faulkner in the pits after that contact we saw in turn 1 with Mark Noske. But Craig Lowndes, look how motivated he is. Right, a little hiccup, and that's given Lowndes plenty of incentive.
Certainly has. Breaking out of the end of the main straight once again, Jason Bryant really feeling the pressure from the championship leader as he tries to fight his way back into a top 3 position at this Heat 1. All sorts of dramas in qualifying. The Mobile Holden Racing team, they were throwing all sorts of different combinations at it. Every couple of laps come in, bring in, change shocks, change springs, send him out again, back into the pits again. They really were chasing setup, and Jeff Gretsch admitted he just threw his hands in the air and said, honestly, I can't tell you where our speed has gone, but we're not going to panic. We're just going to do very small changes. Oh, a big hit from Lowndes. Well, there's some problem with Jason Bryant.
That's where he slowed down last lap.
And really, maybe he's having trouble getting the thing into gear because it's not a problem with the car overrunning the corner or anything. It's just not being able to get it going in the middle of the corner. So maybe he's having trouble with his gearbox, or maybe there's a bit of a throttle problem, an intermittent problem.
Boof.
Because he's certainly not running too wide there, you wouldn't think. He is out a little bit, but I think the belt in the back probably helped that.
Well, last lap around, there were 3 cars in the 109s. The leading pair of Russell Ingall and Glen Seaton. The other one was Garth Tander. You can see him in the back of the shot there. Neil Crompton still fighting with his teammate, Jason Bargwanna. So as they come down, Crompton pulls out of the draft. This is what he tried to do earlier. Bargwanna defends the line. Now Crompton switches to the outside. This is a run down into turn 1. Crompton will have to go the long way there, so Bargwanna maintains his line. Word through from the pits, the Pertec guys, Ross Stone and Jimmy Stone, aren't aware of the problem. They can't work it out.
Yeah, we're having trouble in the comm box too. We've completely lost our race timing here, so we can't keep you informed as to what's going on out there with lap positions. But at the moment, it's still very clear. Russell Ingall leading this race, and he is going to be grabbing onto it with both hands. He is so hungry for points and to keep himself in this championship battle.
And Crompton here is very much the meat in the sandwich. He's got Scape pushing and prodding, trying to find a way past, and at the same time he's trying to do the same thing to Bargwanna.
Well, Faulkner is out, that's the word through, so John Faulkner is out of this one. Neil Crompton persists and continues his onslaught at Bargwanna, and Scape is trying to work his way through. He's come from 16th up into 10th. It's been a great drive, but more importantly, he has decreased the margin between Crompton and himself as they come onto the main straight again. They reach top speed, 270, 275, close to 280 at times. Bargwanna, you can see him having a look across. Crompton not quite as close this time round. They're coming up on privateer driver Rodney Forbes. This will be interesting as Scape is right in there now with this too.
Yeah, he was struggling just like his teammate a lot further back in qualifying. Lowndes and Scape both trying to chase grip. This track condition, with the resurfacing, it's been very inconsistent over the weekend. It was very fast in the first untimed session on Friday, then it got a lot slower as the day progressed and the heat came on this morning. It was fast again as a little bit more rubber started to go down. But theories vary on why this track has been breaking up in places. Some think it's just, maybe it's too green, Bradley Jones. It just hasn't had time to cure.
Quite possibly, but the other problem they're having is as they throw the little bits of rubber off the tyre when they're used, they sit on the outside of the circuit, so they not only have the lack of adhesion problem with the track where they kept forcing the car to understeer, but when that happens, they end up out on the marbles, and of course, anything can happen from there. You can spear off, spin the car, and so all the teams are having this problem, and it's something they probably need to look at.
This is a marvellous effort by the Valvoline Cummins Commodore team. Gary Rogers' own team. Bargwanna in 6th and Tander in 5th. Keep in mind, as Crompton again tries that inside line. This is going to be tight as they head down into turn 1. He's got him. Has he?
Oh, I tell you.
Oh,
good
gee.
move.
Test of wills there. And Scape takes advantage too. He follows the FTR Falcon through. That puts Bargwanna back 2 positions in the space of 1 corner.
And Bargwanna will be quite angry with that. He and Crompton were having quite a tussle there, and neither one of them really wanted to relent. And Crompton had the inside line in contact. They would have both been off, so they're both quite sensible about that. But unfortunately, it's dropped Bags back 2 positions, and he won't be happy about that.
Well, Bargwanna's car and Tander's car just completed in time to put them in the truck and drive up from Melbourne. So the team have been working flat out since Phillip Island. So reward for them being in the top 10, both cars, which is a good effort.
And I think they'll both be quite aware of how much damage they've had done to their cars in recent races. And Gary Rogers will be telling them, hey guys, I want you to get through this weekend and I don't want the cars to come back wrecks.
Well, especially with the VT, they've got to develop it rather than repair it.
Lap 15 of 17, time running out for Glen Seaton. Fastest man in qualifying, showing plenty of speed in the race, but he hasn't been able to find a way past the SLX Castrol Falcon, the silver bullet they call it, and it really has been as fast as a bullet this weekend. Ingles just been really pumped up. That's outstanding qualifying performance. He even surprised himself. He said he was out on the track doing those 15 minutes of qualifying. He said to the boys, what have I done, 7th, 8th? And they said, no, you're actually 2nd. So he surprised himself.
And really, these two guys here are going as quick as Lowndes. So the gap's been 3 seconds, maybe the last 4 or 5 laps. And you can see him in the background dropping a wheel into the dirt and throwing everything he's absolutely got at it. But he just can't quite get to these two guys.
Ford Livet in-car Cameron with Glen Seaton, 1997 Australian champ, and is well placed in this year's Shell Championship Series. In second, chases Russell Ingall.
Well, this is heartening stuff for fans of V8 Supercar across Australia.
Yeah.
It's taken a while for the Fords to find their feet, but Glen Seaton now an equal match for this leading Commodore, VT Commodore and AU XR8 Falcon. Level pegging, round 5, the Shell Championship Series. Back through the gears, so he hammers that 6-speed gearbox as he swings it into turn 1.
I like what he said, Mark, before the event, that he was cautiously optimistic. Cautiously optimistic. So he had faith in the FTR AU as they nip up the inside of Rod Nash. It's really close between England and Seaton. We go back on board with Glen.
And if you can see Glen's feet down through the bottom of the steering wheel here, I know it's a hard shot, but you actually can see him dragging on the brake coming in and out of the turns, which is quite amazing. He's driving the car a lot like you drive a go-kart. He brakes with his right foot, but then he brings the left foot over, as you see him do then. You watch him in a minute, I mean, he probably won't do it now, but he can drag the brake sometimes when they come in and out of the hairpin. It's quite an interesting style he has.
Well, this is the run to the line. Russell Ingall. And Hidden Valley will stand tall after race 1. He got a brilliant start ahead of Glen Seaton. Seaton has followed him all the way to the checkered flag. Well done, Russell Ingall. He takes out the first of 3 here at Hidden Valley. Seaton in for 2nd and Lowndes from 7th up into 3rd. Ahead of Jason Bright. We'll find out in between now and race 2 what the problem was with the Pertec Ford. And Garth Tander, a great drive to maintain his starting position. And Mark Scape will flash across the line in 8th position. So, a good effort there, Brad. Great drive by Russell and won it on the line.
Russell would have to be very happy with that. He had a lot of pressure on him. You know, it's been a little while since he's been right at the front like that, but nothing's changed. He's very professional. His endeavour, didn't make a mistake. Seato had the pressure on him the whole way, and faultless drive by Russell, I've got to say.
Tremendous effort.
And it was interesting, I was talking to his teammate this morning, and Larry just said, look, I'm making a couple of basic mistakes, but the cars are good, and Russell's proved that to us.
Big confidence boost for he and the team as he takes out race 1 here at Hidden Valley. Now,